Hello, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello, you wonderful people. Yes, it's Rob and Rob back with Ask Rob and Rob, where you ask us questions and Rob answer your questions. Nice and simple. Also, it's nice and simple to get those questions in as well.
It really, really is. You've got no excuse if you haven't answered a question yet. We know that you don't know everything. There's going to be some gap in your knowledge. There's going to be something you're curious about. Put that right straight away in one of these two different ways. The first is to give us a call, 013 808 0035. You will not come live on air. You'll just leave us a voicemail and we will answer your question in due course. So that's 013 808 0035. Alternatively, you can go to thepropertyhub.net/ask and leave us a question there. So that's thepropertyhub.net/ask. As every week, two wonderful people have done that for us. The first of those is Edward. So let's hear what Edward has to ask.
Hi, Rob and Rob. I've just got a quick question here about remortgaging. I've got properties within a company due to the recent tax changes and outside of a company. And I was just wondering the tax implications of remortgaging and either using that money personally to go and buy a 911 or another nice car, or actually investing it back into property itself. I'm guessing there are better tax implications of spending the money on property rather than on personal luxury items. And if you could just shed some light on this area, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, Edward French.
Thanks, Edward. Great question. Interesting question as well. Okay, so this is actually simple-ish to answer. It's just not that many people know it. So let's really focus on you as the individual, because with a company, it's a lot more complex because it's the company that owns the property. But with you and you own property under your name, this is actually quite straightforward. If you release equity from your property, then that equity that you've released is actually yours. It's tax-free. Now, people are going, what? I've got money tax-free? Think about it. If you went to Barclays and said, I want a 10 grand loan, and you go and travel in for 6 months with that 10 grand loan, then you wouldn't pay tax on it, would you? You'd just pay it back. It's exactly the same with a property. You're releasing a debt. You have to pay that back, or you pay the interest on it if it's an interest-only mortgage. So if you took out, 50, 100 grand, wherever it costs to buy a 911 these days, and you wanted to spend it on that, you can do. That lump sum is actually tax-free. What you have to be careful about is if you remortgage over the original price you bought it for, and that can happen if you've owned it for a long time. So let's say you bought it for 100 grand, you had a 50 grand mortgage on it, and now it's worth 200. If you refinanced all the way up to 150, you can't write off the interest for the whole 150. You can only go up to the purchase price of 100. Obviously, the way we're being taxed is all changing now anyway, but that's just something to bear in mind. But the main thing is, and this is the whole point of this, you can take out big chunks, big lump sums of money, live off it, spend it on fancy pants cars, wherever's your thing, and that big number isn't taxable. So that's it. That's how it works. Hopefully that makes you happy. That means that if you want your 911, you can go and get it.
Excellent answer, and I'm sure there'll have been a lot of people thinking that, so thank you for asking the question. I think a lot of people do think, it sounds a bit too good to be true, but the explanation will hopefully have made sense to you, and the caveat about exceeding the purchase price is well worth knowing as well. So that's one question answered, but we're not going to leave you hanging there. We've got a second question for you, of course we have, and this one comes in from Lance.
Hey, Rob and Rob, it's Lance calling. I'm currently reading your new book, The Complete Guide to Property Investment. And I'm currently on chapter 16 called The Property Cycle. I'm really interested to understand where you think we are currently on that cycle, and also what you think the outlook is for the next 5 years. Cheers. Thanks very much. Bye.
Oh, the 18-year cycle, Rob. Have we talked about that before?
I think we might have mentioned it once and twice, but we do not mind doing it again. It's our favourite topic. And hey, you're reading my book, so we owe you an answer just for that alone. So, where are we in the cycle? We are coming up to or just going into the mid-cycle wobble, in our opinion, at least. Now, we have been early with some of the predictions we've made in the past. Not going to say wrong, but we've just been a little bit early because we start to see the signs of some of the things that are going on very quickly because of the nature of what we do and the number of people we speak to. We pick up on patterns quite quickly, and sometimes those patterns take longer to filter through than we expect them to. So we're saying that now this is the mid-cycle wobble. So you're expecting to see prices not going too much higher, possibly dipping a little bit, and staying that way for a little while before they kick on. I was speaking to somebody who knows a lot about the cycle just the other week, and he thinks that we're actually not at that point yet, and we're maybe about a year away from going into that wobble. So the exact timing, you can't pin down that precisely. Even two people who both really know their stuff can have slightly different answers about where we are. But I think it's hard to argue that we are miles away from that point. It makes sense in terms of the timing. It makes sense in terms of the data we're seeing and in terms of the events that we're seeing as well. There are plenty of factors that you can look at and go, yeah, I can see how that is going to have a dampening effect on transaction volumes and on prices. So that's where I believe we are at the moment. And if you've read far enough in the book, then you'll know what comes next. It's good news.
Well, Rob, I completely disagree with your analysis. I'm only kidding. The thing is, I completely agree with Rob. Whether we're a year away, just in it, it's just starting now. That's the key. A year in the grand scheme of things over an 18-year cycle doesn't really make much difference. And it shouldn't make much difference to your strategy, whether we're about to go in or have just gone in it. What's key is you understand what's happening, that the media will get negative. We've been warning about this for a while. Be prepared. It's going to happen. And we're seeing a lot of stimulus happening. That's already begun. And we'll probably see more of it as well. So these things are the signs that we're looking for, and we're already starting to see them. And they'll ramp up a bit, that's for sure. Be assured, though, it doesn't last for long, this phase. And as Rob's mentioned, the next part of the phase is quite fun because it's aggressive and it goes on for a while. And it's going to see property prices jumping up quite a lot. Remember, Rob and I aren't rah-rah about property prices jumping up a lot. And we're actually telling you we're going to go into a dip or a wobbly period of the market right now. So, yes, that's coming, but don't be nervous or freaked out when this wobble really starts to be noticeable and take hold and the data starts to show it. Because you've expected it, you can get really excited about what's about to come.
And something that's worth touching on as well, I think, is you might think, oh, we're going into a wobble. Does that mean I should hold off buying? The answer to that is not necessarily. It does mean that you don't have to really stress out about the fact that you must buy now or prices are just going to run away out of control. It means that it's not the absolute best time in the cycle to be buying, but you don't want to get into the realms of trying to time the exact peaks and the exact troughs. That is where, whether it's in property, whether it's in trading stocks or shares or currencies or whatever it is, you can go very, very wrong by trying to catch the absolute top and the absolute bottom. So just because we're saying, oh, prices might go down a little bit, doesn't mean that buying now is a big mistake. So if you are buying at the moment or you're thinking about doing so, don't be deterred by that. As ever, look at what's happening locally, look at your data, think about the property over the long term. If it means you buy it and then it loses a couple of thousand off its value over the next couple of years, even if that does happen over the entire life cycle of your development, that's going to make no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, the word is wobble, not crash. Remember that. There will be a crash eventually, but for now, it's a wobble. And we've talked about this before, and this is Ask Rob Rob where we keep it shorter. But remember, it's probably London that's going to feel that wobble more, and that's why the media will make more of it. Prime North, I doubt it'll even dip. It'll probably continue to grow. Maybe not just as fast for a few years. But we'll see. That's the great thing about property. We don't know. And that's the great thing about the 18-year property cycle. It's not an exact science. It's a rough guide, but a rough guide we can really take advantage of. Another thing, though, Rob, people can take advantage of is our wonderful magazine.
Yes, they can. If you do not subscribe to the magazine already, big mistake, but it's okay. You can come back from mistakes. It means that you've missed our feature on the 18-year property cycle that we had a couple of issues back. But if you sign up now, we won't begrudge you for not doing it already. We will instead give you digital access to all our back issues, so you can go and read that feature as well as all the others. And for the sum of only £5 per quarter, you get all the features, the news, the comment, the case studies, the everything that's packed into the magazine. So if you do want to take advantage of that, just go to thepropertyhub.net/magazine, sign up there, dead easy.
Super. Well, we'll be back with the Property Podcast on Thursday. Of course, Ask Rob or Rob next week. But until then, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.